In a famous scene of movie Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams asked his students, "What will your verse be?" And that question inspired his students to dive deep into the sea of imagination. There are a number of reasons why one should read and write poems. It helps us to express our emotions and provides comfort. It expands ideas and thoughts. It also helps us to find essence of our thoughts with just few words. The poem that we are going to discuss today is titled A Legend of the Northland. It is written by Phoebe Cary and is prescribed by CBSE for grade 9. This poem is a ballad. A ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas. It is a part of folk culture. It is generally passed on orally from generation to generation. Poet Phoebe Cary was an American poet born in Ohio. She used to publish her work along with her sister Alice Cary. The title suggests that the story in the poem is of Northland area. The exact place is not specified, but Northland means the area near the North Pole, which means the climate would be extremely harsh and cold. One can imagine the landscape to be snowy all around. In the title, the legend refers to the traditional story, which is very popular and regarded as historical but cannot be authenticated. The narrator starts with describing the climate and habitat of the land. She emphasizes on the long nights where people can't just sleep through the nights. Because of wearing furry clothes, children look like bear cubs there. The narrator calls it a curious story but doesn't believe it to be true. As she hopes that the story might provide a moral lesson, she tells the story anyway. This is about the time when Saint Peter walked on the earth, traveling to far off places, delivering religious lectures to common people. Travel had made Saint Peter tired and hungry. So while traveling, he came across a cottage where a woman was making cakes in the fireplace. Hungry Saint Peter requested her to give him a cake from the collection of cakes that she had already baked. However, the greedy woman did not give cake from her store, rather, started making a very small cake for Saint Peter, but then found it to be too big to be given away to someone. The greedy woman baked another cake and then another cake, one after another, smaller and even smaller one, but all of them looked as large as the previous one. So finally, she rolled another one as thin as a wafer, but greed did not let her part with that either. The woman claims that her cakes were never enough for her when she made it for herself, but seemed too large when had to be given away. This depicts her greed. By this time, hungry and tired, Saint Peter grew very angry. By the way, do you know there is a word for anger that is caused by hunger? It's called hangry. Anyway, the angry saint said that the woman was far too greedy to live a human life. Such greed doesn't deserve the comfort of food, shelter, and warmth of fire. He cursed her to become a bird. Like a bird, she would have to face all the hardships of searching for food, roaming from one place to another. Without speaking a word, she went up through the chimney and appeared at the rooftop in the form of a woodpecker. All her clothes, along with her existence, were burned, except the red cap, which was the reminder of her greed and penance for that sin. Since then, the legend is that the bird roams in the wood in search of food and has been seen by many in the countryside. The leading theme of the poem is greed, which led to the destruction of the woman. It also reminds us to beware of the consequences of our actions and think of result before act. The story preaches generosity towards others. If being a human, one can't be benevolent, one's life is purposeless. Poet has used a number of poetic devices in the poem. In repetition, a word or sentence is repeated to lay emphasis. Like in stanza 1, away is repeated. Similarly, boring is repeated in stanza 13 and 16. In alliteration, the use of consonant sound is in two or more words closed by. For example, ter sound is used in the stanza third. In simile, two things are compared using as or like. For example, children look like bear cubs, baked it thin as wafers. To be generous is to be human. That's the lesson that this legend reminds us of. Hope you enjoyed this video.